What's up, everybody? I got Adam Halbleib. Sorry, I've been trying to get his name right. Halbleib from Beach Bum Exotics. And I got to tell you, I kept this into myself this whole time. He's wearing the single coolest shirt that has ever been worn on Proper Royals, but you're going to have to stick around to check it out. Let's get to it. Adam Halbleib. I got it now. You know, you always want to like give a warm welcome to your guests and get their name right. I had it spelled phonetically and I didn't want to look down at the sheet. Beach Bum Exotics. Adam is here. Stick around for just a few minutes on that. I got a couple announcements. Welcome to Proper Royals Live, coming to you completely ad-free by the good folk. I don't even have my points down right. By the good folks at Palm Street. It's a great platform to sell your reptiles on. I'm on there fairly often. You'll see some other pretty noteworthy sellers on there as well. You can apply to sell reptiles. You do have to be vetted. It's a fairly simple process. You got to send them some pictures, answer a few questions on husbandry and the animals that you keep, that sort of thing. Otherwise, go check them out. Big thanks to Palm Street. I highly recommend checking them out soon. It's 8 o'clock on the East Coast, or as Shane has so nicely reminded me, maybe a minute or two after. But here in Minnesota, we're right on time. It's a beautiful summer. It's very, very nice these days. It's so nice and warm. I'm actually running ambient in the new facility right now. That's not the permanent plan, but for right now, it's great. It's like 84 degrees in there, and only the animals that are not breeding are in there. So they're just growing up, enjoying life. The Minnesota summer is beautiful. You should come up and visit if you have never been here. It's really quite something. It almost offsets the winters. Almost. You need spring and fall to offset the winters. This weekend, speaking of Midwest towns, I will be in Des Moines, Iowa. I hope to meet you. Come see me if you are there. Cold-Blooded Expos. They put on a great show. I'll be there. I'm not sure what other vendors. Usually the other vendors there are like Epic Styles are there. Danny Schumann is there. Simon T. That's Tim Simon. ERS. So come hang out. It's a good lineup and it's a fun show. That's in Des Moines on Sunday. That's July 13th, I believe. I will be there. If you see anything that you want prior to the show, whether you're going to the show or not, if you're just, in Jacksonville, Florida, and you see an animal that you want, let me know so you can get it secured before the show. Inventory on properroyals.com. As always, what I don't have on there just yet, I'm going to try and have it on there before the show. I got some babies that are ready. They're right at like 4 meals. They're going to have their 5th meal before the weekend comes. So they'll be right there. They're doing great, though. No problems. None of them have had to be assist-fed or anything like that. Unfortunately, the bangers never made it out of the Patreon, but I've got some leopard and orange dream clowns left in one of the clutches. And then in the other clutch, I've got a whole clutch of candy het pieds. They're not candinos. These are candy. And funny enough, I would say that they've been proven via shed test. I actually bought the mom from Charlie at shedtesting.com. So if he says it's a candy, I'm not paying him more money to test the animal that I got from him. So those are visual candy het pieds. There is pastel in the mix, so some of them are a little brighter and crazier patterns, but those, I'll have those animals with me, the ones that I'm not holding back. They will be there. It's double mint commercial. What are you talking about? No, like the double mints, Chris, I see. This is why I don't look at comments. And then I see some thread going here. The double mint commercials had, I get it now. The twins, 2 Adams. I got it. Okay. Took me a minute. I hear you. I'm not young, but I'm not as old as Chris. I got it now. Okay, here we go. Also, new hatchlings that have just exited the eggs. They're all looking healthy. They're coming up. Let me know if you're interested. I have gravel clowns. I got actually hit quite a few. Some of them are pastel gravel, some of them are just gravel, but I hit gravel clowns. I'm going to hold some of them back, but I will make some of those available. And then I've got pastel gravel heck clowns available as well if you're into the gravel projects like yours truly. Also, Orange Dream and possible Super Orange Dream, pied het lavs, and double het pied lavs. So hit me up on those if you're interested. Keep an eye on Instagram. I'll be posting those before too very long. I just first met Adam tonight. Matter of fact, from Beach Bum Exotics. If you're just joining, I just met Adam tonight, but we've kind of been flying around in each other's spheres a little bit via Shane at Small Town Xotics. Adam and Shane have their own revived podcast. I'm going to let Adam explain that later. And interestingly enough, we chatted a bit because Adam couldn't make one of the shows and Shane asked me to fill in for him. So we've actually been hanging out kind of behind the scenes, and he's been a good supporter of the show. So I was eager to get, as I got to learn more and more about him, and then we kind of chat. You know, when you chat and like somebody will say something and you're like, kind of like Chris saying something about a double mint gum. Like, you got to be of a certain age and era and mind frame and all of that to get it. There were a few things like that that clicked, and I was like, man, I got to get Adam on the show. So please welcome from Beach Bum Exotics. I swear, oh man, Adam Halbleib. I think I got it right. Yeah, there we go. Okay. I look at the notes, man, but
I was cheering you on back here, man. I knew you could do it, bro. Like, you did. Good job. Good job.
Thank you, man. Thank you for your patience. For my whole life, people have pronounced my name Shira. I'm like, it's Shira. It's not that hard. It's just a long I. That's all you got to remember. And I'm like, and so I have like a special place in my heart to get people's names right. And like, I'm like, it's like the one thing we have, you know. So
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. My ancestors appreciate it. You know, growing up, I just kind of let it go after a while, right? And it was in the era of the Bundys. And
wait, the Bundys like married with children, or the Bundys like Ted and his family?
Married with children.
Okay, I didn't know who you knew. I didn't know what your childhood was like.
And so Al Bundy's good friend, he had Habib that worked at the store, and then the Simpsons. So, dude, I was Habib basically all through high school.
Well, welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you. For the first time ever, someone is wearing an Operation Ivy t-shirt on the show. Easily the coolest t-shirt that's ever been worn on the show, man. Nice work. I got to say, that's some extra points. If whatever the scorekeeping is, that's worth a couple points right there.
Right on, man. I got a rock Operation Ivy. You hardly hear them, you know, anymore. Or whatever. The trues know, right?
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
Yeah. That's right. It's like it's almost like a little test. Like if somebody's into a certain genre, perhaps punk, and they're not familiar with Operation Ivy. It was just one album, and then for those of y'all that don't know, it was one album, and then they became, or members of them became Rancid and had quite a whole lot of success. I got to see, I've seen them a couple times. I got to see Rancid in '98. So not super early on, but kind of still in their prime. And actually they're still doing killer stuff now. I can't say that they're not right now, but
for sure. Yeah, I saw them right after the pandemic lifted here at the Majestic Theater is what they call it here in Ventura.
Yeah.
It's an old playhouse theater that they now do music concert. So really kind of cool old school vibe in there. But yeah, got to see them I think it was like maybe 2 years ago. But I don't know. I've lost count how many times I've seen them now. I love Rancid, man.
They're so good. And like, not to just totally geek out on this, but Lars and Tim, they're so different, and how they work in the band is unreal. And like their side projects are so different. Even Lars's other band that he's got going, but they're fantastic. And I remember how cool I thought it was even back in my high school days. Lars plays through a Marshall cabinet, but he broke the word Marshall, this script logo on the front of the amp. He broke it in just a perfect way so that it spells Lars on it. Like his cabinet has his name on it, man. Anyway. So I I did not give you the pleasure. That sounded weird. I did not give you the fulfillment backstage of hearing my affinity for Operation Ivy. I wanted to do it live.
Dude, I love it. Hell yeah, man. Even
Yeah, man.
another good reason why we click, right? There you go.
Yeah. I mean, I'm at my core, I'm a social distortion guy. Like Mike Ness is literally probably a hero of mine, but they're
Social D.
Yeah, they're right behind the Stones for me. That's it. Stones and Social D. So that's right my sweet spot. But Rancid's up there, you know?
Yeah. I love Social D too. Seen them live many times as well. They're always a good show.
Yeah.
One of the few punk bands that actually can play live. So
they're good. I will say Mike does not update his like his stage, like what's just where you just commentary or like gimmicks or jokes. Like he's been telling the same jokes for 20 years on stage, man.
For sure.
Like every concert, he's like, if you need the day off, come see me. I'll write you a note or something ridiculous. Every show he says it, man.
Hey, stick with the tried and true, I suppose. Right?
Hey, you know what? That's true. If it ain't broke, and they are one of the best bands at keeping it simple, and so I suppose that fits. One of the things you're doing backstage was propping up your leg. What do you got going on, man?
So I had ruptured my Achilles tendon back in late April, and then waited for too long, like almost a week, little over a week, to go see the doc. And he was just like, all right, you definitely ruptured it, got to go get your x-rays, let's see how bad. And ended up scheduling me for surgery, let's see, the 26th of June. So I'm just kind of getting out of the initial recovery. Like I was in bed for like a solid week, really, just kind of keeping it elevated 24/7 kind of thing. But
yeah. I thought Tyrese Halliburton had a pretty good excuse for his Achilles. What's yours? What did you do?
So I'm going to give the fully edited and what I've been told to tell people.
Okay. All right. Right. Yeah. Sorry. I didn't know if that was past clearance on the.
So after rescuing a small village of children and women and puppies, I had like at least 30 puppies and a couple kids on my back, and we were trying to get to the helicopter, and that last push, pop, right?
Yeah,
everybody
pushed
survived.
Off the rock. Yeah, okay, all right, and that's good. I'm glad to hear. That's worth it. That's worth attending, man. Why not? Right there.
The real story is I was just coming in the front porch, and I've got a couple steps and kind of misstep. Let's see how that goes. Yeah, there you go. And my heel dipped a little bit, and
wow,
pop.
Just straightened it, just yanked it right out, huh?
Yeah, I mean, literally, it's like a rubber band, so pop.
Right. Yeah. Did it? I don't know anything about that. Like when you watch the Olympics, you become like an expert on like the amount of splash that the diver makes overnight. So this has been on like sports lately, but like, did it tear a piece of the bone off, or it broke in the middle?
It was in
between.
Up a little from the anchor point on the heel all the way up into the calf. It was closer to the heel, but up a little bit. And from the x-ray, I think it was like a 3 or 4 millimeter rupture. So a decent gap in there.
Yeah. All right.
Could have been worse. But,
I mean, it's there is always that. That's true. You could have grown up knowing Ted Bundy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that is true.
All right. So what's the outlook? What do the docs say? What do you got going on?
So I got another week and a half of no weight on it. I'm on the crutches, doing the whole thing. They take the sutures out in like a week and a half. And then I start applying weight little by little, and it's looking like about 6 weeks of just applying little by little. And like I'm in a boot, and it's got this like gap thingy that's going to drop as well. And
okay, kind of stretch it out gradually, huh? Increase that angle on it.
Yeah, right. Once the stitches come out, then that'll be a progression back to like flat. And once I go flat, I should be able to be applying closer to 100% weight on it, Yeah. And then it's like Doc said like a total of like about a year before I would be running or, doing anything strenuous, crazy on it. But in like a couple months, I'll be walking around like normal kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's I mean, I can only imagine, but what does that do for a reptile operation? And yeah,
man, I mean, I like to think I could get in here and do it. No way. Without my wife. So bless her heart. She's in chat. Actually, I saw Mrs.
I thought
Beach
I saw.
Bum. Yeah. She's showing some support tonight. Thank you, honey. So without her, I would have had to have hired somebody without a doubt. Right. And it would have been a whole process of, vetting and figuring out like who, because I mean, I'm not super open with like my neighbors about kind of what's going down here. I don't hide it. Like my immediate neighbors know, but it's not like I advertise it or anything like that. So, not like I have somebody next door. I could go knock on their door and ask them for help. But thankfully she stepped in, man. And she's been cleaning. Tomorrow is going to be her first feeding. Because I fed the night before my surgery. And then I gave everybody like a week off last week.
Right.
And so we're going to make them nice and hungry tonight. So Heather, or tomorrow night. So Heather's got the most fun experience possible,
And give us like, for those of us that don't know you real well, and plus we're like stats around here anyway, give us some stats. How many species you working with? How many animals you got? What's the scope of things here?
Okay. Yeah. So let's see. I'm floating right around 85, 80. I think, well, with some stuff that I just recently purchased, I'll be up to 87 animals total. Two different species right now. I have reticulated pythons. So I have super dwarf and dwarf reticulated pythons. 3 of those guys, and then the rest are all ball pythons.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Godspeed to Heather, and you're lucky that I mean, with all deference to Chris Eaton, I can't imagine zipping around in a wheelchair is going to go very well, trying to clean and whatnot.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was kind of thinking like, how could I do this? And there's this crutch that they make that just attaches onto my leg, and it allows me to be at like a 90-degree angle. So it just attaches to my knee, I mean to say. And I think then I would have 2 hands and I could maybe do some stuff then. But we just, my wife was like, no, you're not going to risk it. Like if you fall and hurt yourself again.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I hate to ask because whenever I hurt myself, I have these moments. Was there any part of you that was just like, I am just a pitiful old man. There's no reason this should have hurt. Or you think back on like, man, 20 years ago, I was flying through the air and punk rock shows. And now I'm laying here on the ground.
Oh, dude, totally. Yeah. When it happened, like it was hilarious. Cause it made me kind of after like I heard the sound and then I applied some weight on that like foot leg.
Heard it?
Oh yeah. I heard a pop.
Yeah.
Auditorially outside. I almost I glanced behind me like I thought somebody was behind me. Wow. And when I went to kind of pivot to look back, I realized I didn't have any strength in that leg and went down and was like, oh, doing the old man,
Yeah.
And so Heather opened the door and was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I think I ruptured my Achilles. And she goes, what? I tore my Achilles is what I was saying. And she goes, how'd you do that? And I'm like, I didn't do it on purpose. I have no idea. It just happened.
I don't want to be in trouble. I didn't do it.
So yeah, from that point on, even, all day today too, for like the last 3 days, she's been really working hard in the snake room, like putting in a lot of hours. And I just feel like, I'm like, gosh, I can't do anything right now. You know what I mean? I feel useless. So it's a tough feeling.
Yeah, it is. That is. All right.
Does that crutch come with an eye patch?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Captain Adam. Now, it seems how much, and I apologize because again, I don't know you a whole lot yet, but I'm going to get to know you. where in the sort of business hobby spectrum are you? Is it a big source of income? Is it a source of fun? What's the reptile world for you?
Yeah, primarily a source of fun, with a goal to break even, and then any profits are maybe reinvested, type of deal. I still actually want to reduce the amount of ball pythons that I have. I would really like to go to probably like 30 breedable females, like have 30 breeding females in my rotation, and somewhere around, like, I don't know, probably 10 to 15 males. And then that leaves room for a few holdbacks and grow ups that would replace one of the 30 type of thing. So, somewhere around like under 50 animals, kind of, or that 55 animal mark would be great.
Gotcha.
That's my desire.
And what sort of like outlook or goals, or what drives you, or is there a project you're after, or what's your thing? What gets you going?
Yeah, so I got my first ball python in 2012 when like clowns and different kind of albino and pied stuff, and the blue-eyed Lucies were still, all of those were kind of like what was going on. So the rewind even a little bit further than that, my wife and I used to keep some corn snakes, frogs, and lizards when we lived out in Arizona. And so we didn't really know anything about the ball python scene when that was going on. We bought some stuff from Kathy Love, and we were going to breed our corn snakes, but some roommates of ours ended up killing them by accident.
Oh, no.
With, it's just being dummies. And we were gone in California for a weekend trip and came back to a bunch of snakes that were no longer living, which was a bummer. And that was kind of our first foray into the snakes. We didn't get any more corn snakes. Many years went by, ended up selling off that collection, and didn't have any reptiles for a long time. Wanted to get a snake again, started researching, determined I wanted a ball python. Ended up going to, it was, I can't remember, either the Costa Mesa show or maybe it was the Pomona show for like a re-entry back into the scene. Ended up kind of falling in love with a pastel that was like $125 or $50 at the time. And
that was a good deal back then, man.
Back then it wasn't bad, and it was even a pos hat clown, and it's funny, I like me running around the show like, what'd you get? Oh, I got this, to some other breeders and vendors at the time, and I didn't really know anything. They're like, what is it? And I'm like, pastel pos hat clown. Oh, let me see. Oh, it's got the markings for clown, bro. I think it's gonna prove out. I'm like, all right, cool. Well, so and I didn't really know if I was gonna breed or not, and I was just kind of buying stuff that I liked. Bumblebee was a goal of mine if I was gonna breed. What'd she say? It was a Pomona show.
Yeah.
See,
she's got the records, man.
Yeah, Heather's got great memory. It was Heather's Herp from the Pomona show. Yeah.
Okay.
And the female turned out to be a male, and turned out not to be not to be hat clown, but I still have him and I love him. Right.
Oh, dude, that's cool though. That's a cool story that you still have him. Yeah.
Yeah. Miko, he'll stay here forever, dude. Like he's a cool snake. He's been held a lot, so he's a good ambassador.
Right.
You want to bring him out. He's real friendly. So
yeah, I've got a Orange Dream het pied boy I don't use him anymore, but he's just a cool snake. I've had him. He was one of the very first hatchlings I bought. And when my son wants to come vend with me, I'm like, all right, bring Johnny, and you and Johnny are going to hang out and do like you say, the ambassador work while I can not worry about that.
Exactly. Yep. As long as they're friendly and and they're not like, I feel, anyhow, I won't go down that path, but he's not super valuable is basically what I'm trying to say. So he works out perfect in the sense of like, being exposed to a lot of different hands can come with some risks.
Right.
So
right.
He's not in my breeding projects or anything. So
yeah. And then what did you say? You have 3 retics, or those are Are those your
Yep.
breeders and you'll have hatchlings from them, or what do you got going on with your retic program?
The intent is to breed them. Yeah, I have 2 females and a male. So I have a lavender. She's a golden child, lavender snow female, and she's a dwarf sitting right around like 12 to 13 feet. She's the one in the thumbnail, actually.
Yeah, okay. That's
holding.
I was going to ask.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about the genetics of retics, so you just have to bear with me. But I was like, that sounds like something that might have been in that picture.
Yep, that was her, Pam. Yeah. Her name is Pamela Anderson. And then I bought a Motley Lab Snow, named him Tommy. So Tommy and Pam should be
okay, good.
Producing in the retic world. Like a lavender snow is het purple lavender albino. It's a strain of albinism, and also het white. The 2 hets together make an actual visual albino.
Okay, it's one of those combos. All right, gotcha.
Yep. And then it being snow, it's anathoristic as well.
Okay.
So yeah, and so together they'll make a bunch of like snows. They'll also make purple and white phase albinos, and some stuff like that, which is pretty cool. Yeah, man. And then the other one I have is an actual true super dwarf, and she's only about 8 feet and maybe, I don't know, probably less than 20 pounds, I would have to assume. Probably.
Okay, so like a little manageable. 15.
Yeah, she's you could handle her. She's actually in this cage right here, but she's the heat source is over that way. So
gotcha.
Yeah, so she's cool.
What have you bred them before? What's the market like for hatchlings? I figure it's got to be like a pretty niche select group of people wanting them. No,
I haven't. So this was the first season that I was starting the pair, and I was a little late to actually pairing. So I don't think either of my females are gonna go this year. I was hoping maybe the super dwarf was gonna go, but I don't think so. I think the signs I was seeing weren't like a true ovulation. And so yeah. So next year I'll do a more serious approach with it. Try and drop my temps in the in their cages and in the room a little bit more for them. Pump them with a little more food than I was. Kind of do the regimen to kick in the breeding for them, and go for it a little more serious. Now, as far as market, it's almost identical to the ball python market. Everybody you talk to says that it's crashing, and that, you're an idiot if you breed, but you know what I mean? So I think it's kind of like what you're breeding, right? Unfortunately, like my pairing's not going to be super revolutionary, but there is a market for some good percentage super dwarf blood out there. And my specimens are nice looking. So, they should make really nice looking babies too. And then I've been talking with Garrett over at Reach Out Reptiles. He was saying, since the animals are sourced through him, that, him and I may have a deal to kind of work out as well if I'm able to produce a clutch. So
cool. There you go.
Yeah, some things.
Don't they produce pretty massive clutches, or at least compared to ball pythons?
Yeah, the dwarf female, she could potentially crank out like 30 eggs, bro.
30 retics. Oh my gosh.
I know.
At least if the ball pythons don't sell, I can take care of them. I can't, there's no way I can handle 30.
I gotta buy racks per clutches, right? It's not even like a new rack for my season. No, it's a rack per clutch.
Oh my gosh. I mean, on the one hand, it's sort of like the ASF model. Like, they have 20 nipples, they're banging out babies left and right, so I mean, in that way my overhead is lower because I need less parents. But retics are huge, man. That's okay.
Retics are big, yeah. And then the super dwarf girl, from what I've been kind of reading and stuff, it'll be around maybe the 15 to if it's a big clutch, 20 at most, but anywhere from 10 to 15 is very average. So a little closer to the ball python clutch size.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I wish you well on that. I don't know. I'm still, it's funny because I feel like I get things sort of figured out in ball pythons and then they change, you know? So like, I don't really know anything, but I wish you well. I got enough on my hands selling ball pythons. So I'll leave the retics to you, man. One of my good buddies locally here, I think he said he's got something like 10 or 12 of them. Like he loves them though. He enjoys them. And
I do.
Yeah.
I will say working with them, like every species is a little different and each one, you know, so the ball pythons compared to the retics are super chill, right? You know what I mean? Like you might have a couple wild ones that just want to do nothing but bite and kind of launch themselves around, but that's pretty rare, you know. And the retics, what I've learned with them is just you got to respect them more. So like I have a process when I open the enclosures, I'm, you know, doing a little caressing, tapping with a hook, letting them know it's not feed time. I also talk to them. I have no idea if that's effective, but but you know, I do
your own verbal therapy. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, and then the second that they figure out that it's not feeding time, you're able to reach in there and pull them out and you know, interact with them. But dude, they are big and they've got a lot of teeth, and so you don't want to be sticking your face all up in their business. You know what I mean?
No.
So
Yeah,
you just got to respect them. Yeah.
And then what do you feed them? You feed them rabbits? What do you feed them?
I do a little bit of a varied diet. As they're growing up, they're a little more on rats, you know, of the size that's needed. I might get some quail or baby chicks when they're really small, just to offer a little more varied diet. Then once they get up to like the jumbo rat size or so, rats will still be in their diet, but I also feed I just found a source for roosters that's like down the street from me.
Oh,
and
nice.
Yeah, so the dude like about once a month to every other month is calling a decent amount of roosters. And they're anywhere from like the 2.5 to 5 pound range, which is perfect. So I'll go scoop up a couple months worth of roosters. And then if rabbits go on sale from like Cold Blooded or something, then I'll jump over to them and grab some.
Gotcha. I won't bore everybody with the story. I was playing some music, and there's a drummer in town who turns out his family is one of the largest family of hog farmers in Minnesota.
Oh.
And I was telling my buddy, just conversationally, hey, I met this dude. He's farmer. He was really intrigued by the rodents and all that. And my buddy with the retics goes, what does he do with the stillborn pigs? And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, I need to know. And I was like, all right. So I called the other guy. I was like, this is kind of a weird question. And he was like, oh yeah, we could probably do something with that. That would be cool. He's like, for me to get the logistics and all of this in place. He's like, how many a month can you guys take? Like 500 to 800? And I was like, no, there is no way I care to get it.
Come on, man. You could be Proper Royals pigs and just ship them, dude. Let's do it.
I got agreements with Cold Blooded that I won't be in the frozen feeder business. And that came in real, not that they care one bit about me being, it's a little bit of a joke. But anyway, when I started working with them, I was like, I won't get into that. And they're like, okay, thanks, Adam. Appreciate your consideration. They didn't know I had the hookup on, man. I was like, I'm sorry.
Dude,
I'm not going to be.
Jump on the Cold Bloodeds and check out how much the piglet pricings are. You might be second guessing yourself turning that contact away so quickly.
He was talking about like, well, we got to build a walk-in freezer. I'm going to have to get 2 staff members. And I'm like, this is $100,000. No, I'm not. I am not. Somebody else can. If anybody else wants to, I'll make the contacts. You could pay me a slim 3% commission, and I'll get out of the way
for the lead.
That?
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, just hand it off, and I'm gone, man. So we've now exhausted everything I know about retics, and
I do pigs as well. I should say when they're on sale or something, I buy some of them as well.
they call them fetal pigs, but they're not like going
I just
in.
call them piglets. I have no idea, dude. Like they're small, like
Yeah.
anywhere from about 1.5 pounds up to about 4 or 5 pounds, I
Right.
think.
Right. Yeah. That guy was asking, he was like, well, what do you need here? What do you need there? We have these and that. And I'm like, never. I thought we needed like 6 or 8 a month kind of thing. I'm like, I'm good. That's not where this is this is out of hand real fast.
Right. You're saying I need to hire employees? What are you talking about?
No, I'm all set on that, man. All right, back to the ball pythons. What kind of, other than male pastels? What gets you going to ball pythons?
Just all male pastels, man.
I
bought 80 of them, and nobody breeds. I can't figure out why. You know,
my buddy. What's funny you say that. This guy, his handle is Bosa Reptiles, but that's Kike down in Homestead and Florida. And he and I have been good buddies for a long time. I don't know if he still does. Kike, for the longest time, man, he would like, his quest was to find a perfectly normal, like does a normal with no hats, no nothing actually exist out there anymore in the hobby? And Kike was like, I want a super normal. That's all that I want in my collection. Normal.
Yeah, that was the joke back in the day, right?
Exactly, man. Yeah, but I think he has a few. So I mean, that's his thing. If
hey, man, the wild caught type variety, you know, normal, whatever you want to call it, I think there's beauty in it, and I think that maybe taking a step back and having like a normal that has some characteristics that you would want to carry on, right? Mm-hmm. Like maybe some really, really deep blacks, and maybe the alien heads are super reduced or not, right? Maybe it's more wacky, aberrant pattern. So, you know, I think if people kind of reframed a bit and took a look more at polygenetic breeding, right? Mm-hmm. Breeding for not necessarily just a gene trait, but traits of the lineage that you're coming from to, you know, line breed in essence, right?
Yep.
And that could all start with the really cool looking normal, right?
Well, it's funny you brought up the alien. I feel like we don't see good alien heads anymore. They're all screwed up. Every one of them distorts some. I want like a good, clean Roswell pattern right down. How sharp would that look?
There you go. Like maybe,
legit 2 eyes, offset equally alien head would be fantastic, man.
Yeah, you know, stuff like that I think is overlooked a lot of times when we're all chasing, oh, what's the new kind of gene?
Right.
What's the meta, you know, just to kind of say it like that. But yeah. So I still actually have a wild caught female that's not het for anything. She's sitting in the bottom left of the rack, and I figure, hey, if I ever have a dinker that pops out, you know, I've got a wild caught to throw it at. And so that's and she was one of the first that I produced, so she's also got a little bit of you know, sentimental
nostalgia value. So what are you known for anything? What do you
so as far puzzles
as genetics or styles?
I would say probably like 65-70% of my collection is puzzle.
Oh wow.
Yeah, well, maybe probably right. And Desert Ghost. So 2017 is when I committed that puzzle was going to be the gene that I was going to work with.
Well, that's pretty early on though, man.
Yeah. I was a huge bullshit, you know, podcast listener.
Right. Yeah.
And listening to Sean talk about the project, I got me peaked. I started looking, and I'm like, dude, clowns are kind of like everybody's working clown, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like, I do love a good clown,
right?
Don't get me wrong, amazing looking animal, great gene. But I was like, what is everybody not doing? I'm like, if I'm gonna try and do anything, I gotta try and maybe work an avenue, a lane that's not being like, not like all the big dogs are working it. So by the time I get in, I'm like never there. You know what I mean? I'm always just a little behind was my initial intent. Like, and so I picked puzzle as what I was going to do. And then I fell in love with Desert Ghost. I loved how it was cleaning. I wanted, at that time I was like, put Desert Ghost in everything kind of thing. So I bought a lot of Desert Ghost. Some of the Desert Ghosts that I had hypo with it. And then one of the second or so investment animals was a hypo puzzle that a buddy of mine and I went into together, produced some really cool stuff with that. I got some of that. He has some of it. And that's where my hypo puzzle project started going as well. So yeah. So that's kind of where my focus is now, is puzzle as my modifying gene, Desert Ghost as my cleaning, and hypo as my kind of enhancement of color kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Nice.
If I want to clean up and pop something, have hypo there.
So it kind of strikes me, because I mean, if it was 2017 and Sean was talking about it before then, there's still puzzles pretty hot and pretty popular still. And usually that means that it's because people think that not that much has been done with it. And we're still seeing, I think in the past 2 years, we saw some of the first Ultramel puzzles, the first ones I'd ever seen anyway. I saw Josh from Ballshed. I think that's the name of it, Ballshed. He had some that I got to see in person, but that's I mean, cause that's 8 years. Some things feel like they go so fast in the hobby. And then other things, it's it's been sitting there waiting. And it hasn't been worked as much. I mean, I think a ton of people are now. I've got some puzzle stuff as well, but I think a ton of people are working it now, but it's kind of neat that way. Where do you see it going? What's what still excites you about it?
I mean, that's a huge part, right? Not a lot's been done. I mean, so initially when the project kind of was marketed, it was pushed by a gentleman that quite a few people don't like. And I think that truthfully did hurt it, but also too, clown still, a lot of stuff had been done, but we were getting a lot of new genes out at the same, incomplete dominant stuff out at the same time. And I think that the priority was always kind of pushed towards clown, right? That was kind of the bar of the industry.
Sorry. That didn't go so well on I thought you meant puzzle with clown. Excuse me.
Oh no. Well, hey man, I won't crap completely on that project. Yes, it didn't.
I'm not crapping on it. It was just I feel bad. That's one of those if you don't laugh, you're gonna cry kind of things. I'm not crapping on it. It's a perfectly natural to work towards that.
I think there's still room, and we haven't seen the right deal with the clown puzzle. I truthfully do, right? Now, is it as impactful as some people were hoping? Nah, right?
Right.
But I mean, that's okay. I was actually more happy about that myself, because those are 2 pattern mutations, right? It's kind of cool that they can exist on their own,
right.
Yeah. So for me, I didn't see a huge loss in them not having a big impact, but I know some people that are still working on it, and they're getting some pretty interesting results. So when they're ready to share some of those cool things, I think people might start changing their mind. And then as far as a breeder animal, the value, you can't argue, right? If you have a visual clown and a visual puzzle, especially a male, shoot, man, you could do a ton of heat with that, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I have to hand it to people, because a double visual recessive project that you kind of have to poke around and hope something good is still out there for, that takes some gumption, man. That's a big commitment because of the difficulty of reproducing double visuals with new non-recessive genes in them. I mean, of course, once you have the double visual, you can bang out double visuals all day, but not with new, non-recessive.
Yeah. if you want to bring in an incomplete dominant that nobody else has touched yet, yeah, you're
Right.
looking at starting over completely, right?
Completely, yeah.
Go
And
produce your double hats. I mean, kind of completely, but
that's true.
like,
You're gonna get your double hets
you know,
right off, and you're
and
still
then you run it back to your visual. But still, I mean, it's not quick, right?
but and that's for everyone. That's for every one of them. Like, okay, guys, what are the 200 you want to pick today? Like, it's not like you can.
Yeah.
So it's that's a tough value proposition, and I mean that with like respect and admiration. That's a cool thing. So I hope they do. If they're working it, I hope that they do hit something cool.
Me too. Hey man,
Yeah.
I'm always rooting my friends on and people on in the industry. Like I love seeing, even if it's a snake that I was shooting for a long time ago, somebody, beat me to it. I'm over here clapping like awesome. Like,
yeah,
I don't look at it like a race. I don't look at it like I find somebody else's success, like I get happy about it, right? I'm stoked for it. So
I really think well, and I'm not at the point where I'm at a forefront or I'm racing anybody else. And even if I say like I guess one of the things that I'm not now because this is growing up and I bought the thing, so I didn't make it in. I'm not doing anything with it, but I do have a rainbow clown. And when I can do something with that, I will be at the forefront of that project.
nice.
But even still, I won't see it like racing somebody else just because of what I was just saying. There's so much variety. What am I going to like fight off all like 200 other genes that somebody could put into it? Like it's a futile thing to do. So you just got to do your own thing and be happy with it, I think.
Oh, I agree. And I think it's an old school mentality. It's part of the gatekeeping mentality as well. Like it plays into all of it, right? Like,
yeah,
that's why I just think go your own pace, do your own thing. And for me, that's been Hypo, Desert Ghost, and Puzzle for the last like 8 years. I did kind of shoot myself in the foot. I took a couple years off to focus on. So a couple things, like I was definitely experiencing some burnout and needed to kind of alleviate some pressure.
yeah,
And so I decided, and my wife was looking at wanting to get a show dog and learn that. So it was kind of like a perfect storm where I'm like, all right, perfect. I'm experiencing some burnout. You would like a new hobby. Let's dive into that. So I'm going to pause my breeding, maintain all the animals, if everybody's getting fed, watered, changed, but I'm not breeding. I don't want to produce any babies or anything like that. And did that for a couple years while we focused on the dog show and stuff. And
yeah. What just a little sidetrack. What dog species did you get into?
Miniature, oh my goodness. Miniature bull terriers. I kept trying to say miniature ball pythons.
Yeah, I was like, wow, that's a new
My
one
brain
on
was
the
really
circuit.
wriggling. It was struggling hard.
Circuit you're out there on, man.
It's a whole new thing, dude.
I got it. Sorry, 1 second, Jim. I don't know if you Jim Bolter in the
What's up, Jim?
audience. He's got an animal coming from me. Jim, I messaged you earlier today. Just hit me up afterwards. I want to make sure you got that message about your animal. That's all. Everything's good. It's just today something came up and I just had to delay it for a day. So I just need confirmation on shipping, and I want to make if I see Jim here, I don't want to miss him later. So miniature. Oh, bull terriers, like
see, you almost did it too. I almost scared you.
I was like, I got to get back on track here. I'm doing other business. Are those are the bull terriers the ones? What was the dog in like the 80s? Man, tonight we're talking about all the 80s commercials. The 80s, was it Miller Lite, Spuds McKenzie? Is that him?
Yeah, he was one of them. Yep.
Those are handsome dogs, man.
The Target dog. Yeah.
Okay.
Dude.
Yeah. How are they to like, how's their behavior and stuff? Like, they look great, but that's not always a good indication. We know that from.
Oh, we love ours. They're known in the show world and kind of dog world as the clowns of the dog world, and they live up to it. They're goofy, they're doing the zoomies and running into stuff. They get a bad rap for being like too energetic. Our experience with them is that like it's more about the household that they're living in. You know what I mean? And,
yeah.
So I love the breed. They are a terrier and they are a bully. right? So you get an operant mindseted dog where if its goal is to go sniff the corner of the fence, it's gonna go do that, right? Like, it might recall after, but it's probably gonna be like, I really want to do that, but they're trainable. We love them. They're fun.
So I just entered that world that you're describing with they call it a shorty, but a short Jack Russell. And
cool.
So she is, I can't remember the expression you used, but she is determined and stubborn. And without missing a beat, when I was explaining that to my father-in-law, he says, well, she's going to fit great in that family. Completely deadpan. Yeah, I was like, okay, cool, thank you. I'll take the compliment. That sounds good. So you're taking a break. We were talking about the puzzle project. You'd taken a break on it. One thing that popped in my mind when we were talking about like not racing, like I think people forget that if you don't have a community of people working the same project, you probably aren't going to have people buying, and you're not going to have the resources to advance further. And it's sort of, I hate the cheesy sayings, a rising tide lifts all ships, but you almost have to have people around you. It's almost impossible to do at any kind of pace totally alone, I think. Was that your experience, or do you see that, or what did you see when you were working at that early?
Yeah. So, I mean, I had some friends around me like Randy Dark Cloud Reptiles, Randy Foster. He's got quite a few puzzles. He's definitely got probably one of the larger collections of puzzles that aren't really known.
And
so I was seeing some cool stuff come out of him, and I'm like, so him and I started talking, became friends over that. Miguel and I from Always Evolving Pythons were, buddies back then. And so he was, every time we would hang out, I would do nothing but talk about how cool puzzle was. So he finally, to shut me up, was like, fine, let's get some and breed it. And so we did some of that. And it was funny because initially...
Sorry, this was Randy or this was Miguel?
Miguel and I. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
So we did some of that. And then initially we were kind of having like a little harder time moving this stuff. Like his clown stuff would move really quick. And then the puzzle stuff took a little bit longer. But once the people that were into the project figured out we had it and were making it, and, I was making it, and, even like Randy, once you started knowing who was who, then the sales would start coming through because it's a little more niche. And so people were, hunting it out per se.
Right. So, right. What, puzzle to me, and I'm happy to be disabused of this, puzzle to me in some ways seems, I wouldn't say not fragile or weak is not the right word. I mean, it takes the right pairing. If some patterns and pairings run it over is kind of what I feel like.
Sure.
What are some of your favorite kind of, I don't know, base combo makes sense? Like sort of foundational combos with puzzles. What are some of your favorites that you've seen?
Dude, I love a good pastel puzzle.
I mean, I gotta
bring it on, buddy.
Yeah, I do. I agree with that.
And anybody that wants to hate on the puzzle gene, look at that. Pastel and puzzle look great. Clown and puzzle look like dog crap after they get about 800 grams. So I mean, I'm just taking shots, right? All friendly. Yeah. I love Cloud also, but so honestly, like pastel and puzzle really make a nice animal that cleans it up. What I find puzzle, I will agree with you. I think like certain genes that we'll just use like strong and weak just for vernacular right now, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I kind of stumbled over it. I'm like, I don't really mean it that way, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, just for the sake of conversation.
Yeah. Clown
overpowers is stronger than puzzle, right?
Yeah.
And you have some other genes out there that I think are stronger than puzzle, like the G stripe. I think we're going to have to bring in some other genes to get some more there, but the G stripe just kind of overpowered it. It looked like a regular kind of G stripe, ish.
Which
you got
G
a little
stripe
bit
does to a lot of things.
It's kind of a stronger gene, right?
Yeah. It's hard for me to get real excited. I'm like, well, anyway, go ahead. I cut you off there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it. That's a great analogy on G stripe too.
Yeah. So, and then anything that I think is going to, all right, another reason why pastel is so good too is because people don't really give credit to pastel's pattern manipulation ability.
Right. That's true.
And so it works really well with the wonkiness of the puzzle. But because there is some variability in puzzle, and certain lines I think have more variability. So if somebody is interested in getting into puzzle for the first time, I would say scour the internet and try and find some of the best examples of like single gene or like maybe a pastel in there, but try and find some of the best examples of single gene puzzles you can that fit what your eye thinks a puzzle should look like. So like myself, I like a lot of the lateral striping where the alien heads are joining and I'm getting some weird flaring that look like puzzle pieces kind of, and that's coming over the dorsal with kind of some hooking and some more puzzle patterned kind of action taking place. And I like it more busy rather than super, super duper reduced, and blocky kind of. And so when I was seeking puzzle, those were the type of animals I went and sought and looked. And so far, my production has been like that as well. This year I have an animal that doesn't quite fit into that. She's a little more on the blocky reduced side. And so I bred her to one of a couple of the males that I made hats a few years back, and I'm interested to see what that clutch looks like. Like, am I what I'm seeing the other stuff, my line breeding or the line breeding of the lineage I'm purchasing,
right? The selective breeding, yeah,
or not, right? Is this just truly a variable gene like this, right? Type of thing. So,
gotcha.
And I agree with Jared. Puzzle makes pastel great again. I totally agree with that.
Oh yeah, yeah. What genes have you not seen in it, or have you in your own collection anyhow that you want to add and put into it?
So hurricane, I know it's kind of like everybody's talking about it right now, but that is something that I want to see big time. Hurricane.
Has one been created? Have we seen it yet or not?
I don't think a hurricane puzzle's been created yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. Jared would probably know his from Creative Reptiles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he might know, but I don't think one's been produced. And my goal would be with Hurricane would actually be producing Hayabusa puzzles. Right?
Gotcha. And that's the super, is that right?
Yeah, that's the super Hurricane. Yeah.
Like we have we have nicknames and then we have a word super, and I know what the hell that is. And then we just throw new ones out there sometimes.
Got to keep you on your toes, bro. It's the secret code language, man. Like,
yeah. Side story. Somebody, and they turned out to be a new buyer and like a new pet owner. And they messaged me and they're like, I've done all my research. I want to get a Pride ball python. And like June was like Pride month. And I was like, what are we talking? I'm not sure what we're talking about here. And they're like, well, what do you have for Pride ball pythons? And I was like, look, why don't you check out because I was like, is there some nickname I don't know about here? I was like, why don't you check out my website?
Am I getting trolled or is this something I know? Like, yeah.
And I was like, why don't you check out my website? Send me a screenshot of anything that catches your eye. And they sent me like a bunch of pieds. And I was like, okay, there's a word called piebald and we shorten it to pied. And are you mixing up pied and pride? And they're
like, autocorrect, huh?
I don't know, or they're in their own mind. I'm not sure. Like because there are some people that I hear just at like local shows, they're like, oh, I really love pies. Like they think it
like
looks like
eating.
like a cream pie or something. I'm like, that's not it. No, that's not right. That's so anyway, I know Hayabusa is a real thing, but I'm like, all right, just tell me what it is. But I got that one. Okay, Super Hurricane, right?
So I think that would be pretty cool. I mean, you know, I'm not really a huge fan of a lot of the Granity genes, so I probably would stay, for my own personal opinion, away from that. I want to see some more work done with Calico or Sugar, really,
Right.
in puzzle. Will Filippic from TJW.
Oh, timely.
Yeah.
He's our guest next week.
Oh,
Great.
nice, dude.
Oh man, I didn't even tell you this. This is fantastic.
Oh,
Nice
that's
work,
awesome.
man.
He's such a great guy, dude.
Yeah.
Will's, and he works with so many different cool species. You're gonna have a great show next week. He's a great guy. Yeah.
I met him. I used to chat with him like online and in the comments and stuff. And then I was at his booth in Denver, and I had no idea that William Filippic is TJW. I'm like, I know TJW and I know Filippic. I'm like, he's the same guy, man. Okay.
Ask him
over here.
And ask him where he came up with it. It's a cool story.
Okay,
we've had him on Reptiles Unplugged a few times back in the day.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I was really happy to get him on there. So, okay, sorry. So William TJW, you were talking about, I think, Calico and Puzzle.
Oh yeah, he's got a pretty cool one that's up on Morph Market right now. He produced a clutch of them. So, a lot of variability with Calico, not a lot of prediction if you're going to get like as they say, a high white animal,
right.
or whatever. But I'm not looking for it to like create like pied like markings. I want the lift and the highlighting that the Calico does to, I don't know how to explain it properly, but like, it's like around the alien heads or around where the contrast of the alien heads are with Calico. A lot of time there's like some like pop there that's just not in like not Calico stuff,
right? Yeah, I definitely get it. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I'd like to see more of that and probably work that. I've got a Sterling Sugar hat puzzle male, and he's putting in some work. He's actually being bred to the Williams. That's where the puzzle that I was referring to earlier, that I don't know how the pattern's going to turn out. That came from William, actually.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
So yeah, he's breeding that girl this year. So we may see something from that. So
very nice. I'm glad to hear you say Sterling. I have a male Sterling. No, female. That's a female Sterling hat puzzle. No Calico, but I'm excited. So we'll have the pastel, and I know it sounds cheesy, but I've liked what I've seen from Cinnamon and puzzle as well. So
well, my founding animal is a Sterling puzzle, actually, for male. Yeah. So yeah, dude, I like it. I'll be weeding him out though. Probably after this season, he'll go out of rotation. Might even sell him. He was producing too much cinnamon, man. And
was yeah. Well, and at some point, unless you want pastel and everything, you don't want them to be your main sire.
For me with puzzle, I didn't care because I did want it in everything, but trying to play the market game a little bit better. There are so many people that are just like, I exclude puzzle from my Morph Market search. And I'm like, really? Like,
right. Trust me, I know. I get it. I'm like, okay, all right. I know I can't change the world, man, but I'll just tell you my thoughts for a minute here. But I thought that just escaped me. I was going to say I thought I had something relevant to say perhaps it'll come back to me. Self-imposed break. That just happens sometimes. You just have to. You just pause sometimes.
Just need it.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, I know what it was. Is that July is like my month of like great joy or great sadness. It's like when the teams have to make their cuts and they go and you find out if you've made the team or you're getting cut, because by July, either your girls are going or they're resorbing. Basically, most of mine. I have a few outliers that are way later in the season, but I pretty much, and all the puzzle project, nothing this year.
Bummer, man. Reabsorbed.
They were all first time breeders. So I mean that'll happen, and next year will be better. But I was like, all right, time to shut them down, preserve the male, get them, get them comfy, and relaxed for another 4 or 5 months, and then we'll start again. So that was this month's ultrasound trip.
That's a bummer. Yeah, speaking of, I need to ultrasound coming up. I had some females hanging right around that like 20 millimeter, so I got to get back on them and see, did they go up or were you on your way down?
Yeah. Actually, speaking of people that have helped us out along the way, Dale at Constricted Reptiles, I got my first puzzle ingredients I got from him.
Cool, man. Dale's got good stuff.
Yeah, he was nice enough to let me vend with him before I had ever vended a show, before I maybe had hatched 2 clutches. Cool. And I was like, I just want to come learn. And I remember just standing behind his table being like, I'm never going to catch this guy. Like, so it's phenomenal, but he sold me some hypo puzzle ingredients, and those girls, this was the first year. One of them got the size, one of them didn't make the size. So anyhow, next year will be the 3rd year, and they'll really be, that's where the sweet spot will be. So they're all right.
What male?
The male was actually a visual, not from Dale. The male that I purchased since then was a visual male het hypo, and then in the females is Orange Dream. There's the Sterling, and then there's 2 double het hypo puzzles.
Nice.
And that Sterling is a Sterling spot nose.
Nice. I love spot nose.
So I mean, I was really happy with all the ingredients that I've cobbled together. I have none. Now, the puzzle het hypo male, he did lock with, I have one of the first females I ever bought is just a straight het axanthic VPI. She's nothing else.
Okay.
And I was like, they'll all be het puzzle. I can do, I'll need them in the future. And then I was like, half of them be het axanthic. And I was like, they could also be het hypo. I was like, all right, let me try this. And we'll talk to my good buddy.
Puzzles.
Yeah. I talked to my good buddy, Charlie, at Shed Testing, and we'll, make some things happen. So she did ovulate. She is going to go. So,
and sweet.
Yeah. She's a big girl. So we'll get something from it, but nothing visual or other than the super nerds, nothing exciting yet, but pretty cool start.
Roadblocks or building blocks, I mean to say, for the future.
Yeah. In 2-3 years, I'll be pumped that I made that decision. But right now it's like, well, all right, got some mouths to feed for a little while, and tests to do and all of that. So
have you seen the axanthic puzzle? It looks good.
Oh, I was like, let me get after this early. Like there's something I can do with that female.
For sure.
So,
cool, man. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Let me pay some bills here real quick. And then when we come back from that, I want to hear about, the podcast, the history of it, the revival of it. And anyway, I appreciate it. So, guys, Redline Shipping, that's who I recommend and who I use. It's for their service, their attentiveness, their supplies, their insight, their industry knowledge. That to me is built-in insurance right there. So go check them out. Use the promo code PROPER5. Get yourself $5 off of your next shipping label. You can call them anytime. You could speak to a human that has reptiles and cares for reptiles. And especially in these summer temps, it's always good to have some extra insight from professionals. So check them out. You just heard me talking about them, Charlie, at shedtesting.com. If you're not familiar, you should be, but if you're not, it probably means that you're new to the hobby, and I don't want to make you feel bad. So you can genetically test your ball python shed for over 40 genes these days. Charlie is has tests for VPI Xanthic, Wookiee, Sunset Clown, Puzzle, Ultramel Zebra, the whole Yellow Belly complex, and some of the newest tests that are available that are live and verified right now are Lace, Monarch, Hurricane, and Monsoon. If you use the promo code PROPER15, you get yourself 15% off of 2 orders of shed tests. You can order as many tests, individual tests in each order as you like. So 2 orders will get yourself 15% off. Reagan Renee Royal Pythons. That is Charlie Ryan, the undefeated 15 minutes of lame current champion right now. He's working Kryptons, DG, G-Stripe, Candy Pied, clowns and singles, doubles and triples. Go check out his website. His Morph Market, his Krypton project. If you're ever like, well, what's up with Krypton? Why deal with Krypton? Go check it out. He is truly doing some of the coolest stuff I've seen with Kryptons. And like I say, he's got those other projects that are great that a lot of people do, but his Kryptons really, really stand out. Portuguese Pythons is Danny and Renee Rocha from the Inland Empire side of LA, out in Chino, California. And I'm loving their Ultramel stuff. Ultramel with dark jeans has been phenomenal that they've produced. They've also done some brightening Ultramel stuff with Bell Complex animals, which really turned out very nice as well. Speaking of puzzle, they're working puzzle into Ultramel, clown into Ultramel, and pied into Ultramel. And I'm super thankful. I say almost all of my Ultramel pied project ingredients have come from Portuguese Pythons. So happy to be carrying that on and inspired by them. Go check out their Morph Market. Great animals, and wonderful people to do work with. Sundog Serpents. These are our newest advertising partners on Proper Royals Live. If you've not heard of them before, that's Sarah and Josh. They're down in Orlando in Florida. And I've been doing business with them pretty much since they and I started together at the same time. Sarah used to come vend with me, just like Dale, as I was mentioning, was kind enough to let me vend with him, tried to pay it forward and return the favor. And Sarah, Josh, and I have been doing business ever since. They're doing great stuff with the TSK line of Axanthic, and TSK Clown Project is one of their babies. And it's convenient that we're talking about puzzle. They just hatched some really cool puzzles as well. They also work with blood pythons, and I know they have a few clutches of those coming this year as well. So check out Sundog Serpents. Last but not least is Chris at BNS Reptilia, the original advertiser on Proper Royals. All those years ago, we're still here together. He is my business partner at Tinley as well. He will be there in October. Chris works with ball pythons, and he's called Reptilia because he works with ball pythons, blood pythons, locality boas, colubrids of all shapes and sizes, as well as the Pituophis colubrids. Those are the bull and the pine snakes, and he will have those in October available at Tinley. So if you have any questions about legality, permits, that sort of thing, he'll have all the paperwork, everything you need to be legal if you're interested in acquiring any of those at Tinley. So thank you very much, audience. Thank you for hanging out. And don't forget, those advertisers bring you Proper Royals Live ad-free. You don't have to Google and YouTube. They were dropping the ball on the payments. I had to say, man, when I heard the dissatisfaction that people had to sit through horrible amounts of ads, I said, you know what? Get rid of them. I don't need them. I got people looking out for me. These are people within our industry taking care of us and supporting our industry. So if you get a chance, go support them as well. All the links are down below. Thanks very much. Tonight, we are hanging out with Adam Halbleib. Why do I want to say it wrong? Halbleib?
Yeah, dude, you did it. Good job.
Got it. It took me twice, but I'm going to get it, man, one of these days on the first go. Adam, I first heard about you from my buddy Shane over at Small Town Xotics. By the way, what's you guys' things? You both have this thing with your XOTICS spelling. Who had it first?
Oh, who had like the real way to spell exotics for beach bum?
Yeah.
Yeah, so some suntan company in like Florida or something, I think. I don't know.
No,
or you mean between Shane and I?
Yeah, you and Shane with the X.
Oh, dude, I'm the OG. No, I'm joking. I did have it first,
thought, man. I gotta bust Shane's chops on this now.
Yeah. For me, it was purely me searching like business names. I'm like, oh, these SOBs grabbed it all over the nation. I'm like, dang it. So,
oh, okay. Who did though? Beach Bum?
Yeah, Beach Bum Exotics. There's like some sun
Oh, I didn't
sun
realize
boost,
with
like,
the exotics, really.
yeah. So that's
Wow.
so yeah, it wasn't me trying to be like hacker cool or anything.
No, I was really just busting you and Shane's chops about spelling exotics the same way. But no, I used to so I mean my forte was restaurants, but I got into resort management from the restaurants. And one of the venues I had for a couple summers at our resort was actually the waterfront cabana. And I had to source sunscreen. And I thought you were we used Sun Bum, but not, it wasn't Beach Bum Exotics. It was Sun
Yeah.
Bum.
No, this company's not a big one. They just
Okay.
do sun beds, like sun tanning beds, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
that's way different. I gotcha. Okay.
yeah, and they've got a couple places, but they grab the name like nationwide, basically.
Yeah, all 50 states. They just had their law. They just went and got them
When I checked
registered.
Cali, it was like no bueno in Cali. So
Yeah. Okay, but then you just chopped off the E and it was solved.
yeah, and the system said, "Hey, that's not taken." So I was
Perfect.
like,
Nice. So
yeah.
tell us about Reptiles Unplugged. I know you can you could start now and go backwards, or start at the beginning and go forward. I don't, whatever works for you.
Okay, all right. I don't know. My mind kind of works better chronologically, so we'll start, at the very beginning. It's funny. So my buddy Joel from State 48 Exotics, he was starting up just interviewing people on his own State 48 YouTube channel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was maybe like his second interview, or I might have been his first or second interview, maybe, kind of thing. And after he interviewed me, him and I were already friends, but after the interview, like, we were talking kind of, back in the green room, and he goes, "Dude, I had a good time." I'm like, "Hey man, me too." He goes, "Would you like to host these with me and we just interview people?" And he goes, "And we could bounce channels. You could do it on yours and I could do it." Sure. So for like the first, I don't know, 6 months to a year, maybe, him and I would rotate like every other week on whose channel it was going to be. And it just really wasn't, like, we knew that wasn't the right way to run it. Like, it needed its own dedicated channel.
Right. People need to know where to go. Yeah.
Yeah. Cause we were hearing feedback like, "Oh, sorry, I missed it. I thought it was on Joel's. And when I didn't see it, whatever. Right. Or I thought it was on your, anyhow, totally dumb decision for trying to run it like that. But then we decided to come up with the name, and having some cocktails in the backyard with my wife and my mother-in-law, and my mother-in-law spit out Reptiles Unplugged.
That's cool.
So cool. So it had that good ring.
And what year was that, or when did you and Joel start that?
What was that? 2018? Yeah. 2018, I think it was. Yeah. And then we ran it right around we did it for like 2 years on that channel. For like 2.5 years, I think it was on the channel. Yeah. And then, then we took a break. Because like both him and I were kind of like, dude, at that time, there wasn't the AI push. So Dale, hell yeah. Dude, we had Dale on the show too. He was a good guest.
Did you?
Nice. Yeah. It was awesome. So, and at that time, like, we didn't have a bunch of the AI assistant type stuff, right? Like Canva was brand new and it didn't have any AI integration. Right. So I was doing a lot of the graphic stuff, because Joel was busy doing, like, I think he was starting up school and he was doing some his work. Anyhow, so I bought like a license to Adobe and learned Illustrator. I learned some Photoshop, and I learned Premiere for all of the reels and stuff we were producing, the shorts. Yeah, I know, right, Beast? Dude, it was that long ago. Crazy. Yeah. But so that's where it kind of went, and him and I were having a lot of fun, but at the same time, us driving the whole program just him and I, while trying to maintain daily jobs and all of that stuff, plus a collection, dude, we reached burnout. And after a little while, like the interviews kind of started feeling a little repetitive. So, right. and that was our fault as the interviewer, right? That wasn't our guest's fault. Like, so both him and kind of realized, shoot, man, we're in a rut. You know, I think we need to take a break. And then that break turned more permanent, like 3 years.
Right. That's what I always fear with breaks. And I'm glad you brought a lot of that up, because it is, it's a challenge. Anybody that does anything consistently for a long period of time is going to go through those things. But some of what you talked about of like booking, of doing the graphics. I mean, I think it was midnight my time last night before I got, no, 2 nights ago before I got or was it last night? No, it was last night, wasn't it? I don't know.
Was it last night or was that the night before? I can't remember now either. But yeah, it was after midnight your time.
Yeah, that I got the thumbnail over to you, and it was just like, and I'm not saying it like, oh, woe is me, but what I'm saying is that it is work, and anything that becomes work and doesn't have certain payoffs or certain offsets, i.e. financial or some sort of fulfillment or income or assets or benefit, the benefit's really the word I'm looking for. It can be just a dog. And I joke with people when they're like, well, I can't do it this week. I'm like, don't worry, there's always another Tuesday. You let me know when, because I'm going to need it, man. Like these Tuesdays are relentless, man. They don't quit.
They come up quick, right?
They do. They come right around, man. So there's a Tuesday right behind me, man. So you and Joel take a break, and you get the itch? You said, man, I got to jump into this, see it. Like, and so all these like podcasters just popped up everywhere. After like you and Joel were really one of the first. I know you talked about ball shit earlier, but pretty early on.
There was like ball shit. Chris Eaton had a thing, I believe, back on at that time too for a little while. There was there were some other pop-up channels that were starting some podcasts, like style interviews on YouTube. But yeah, Joel and I were kind of towards the very beginning. I don't know if I would claim first or no,
I just mean that there was much less. Like I was nowhere near the beginning, but even I'm going like, holy crap, there's a whole bunch of these things out there. And I think it's cool. If you could do it, go do it. Go get, just like I would say with people breeding ball pythons, if you could do it, go do it, the market will say the people have staying power and others won't, and it'll be, it'll go on.
Yeah, man. So, shoot, I lost. I guess
that's okay. So, starting back up, what did you get the itch back? What kind of got you fired up going again?
So, I was talking to my wife, and I was like, "Hey, look, I'd like to breed the snakes again. I'm going to be downsizing, but some of the stuff I've grown up, and I would like to breed it because I made it, and I want to see it to fruition." So I'm going to start breeding again. And then after, I'll start kind of downsizing some of those animals and have some project stuff. And started talking to Shane, started talking to a few other buddies that I hadn't been in contact with for quite a while, putting my ear to the ground, as they would say, because I didn't want to jump into just, oh, hey, I'm back and I produced 20 clutches. Buy my snakes.
Buy my snakes.
So I was kind of like, hey, let's be smart about this. Let's talk with people. Let's figure out, are the projects that I want to breed even worth anything these days? Like I've been out of it for a while. I'm on Morph Market, and it was like last time I'd looked at Morph Market, it was COVID, and I'm like, oh, holy crap, prices are doing excellent, man. These guys are making a killing out there. And then I come back and I'm like, oh, let me check prices. Let's see how good it is. Ooh,
what happened? Yeah.
Ooh, I was just like, I even told my wife, I'm not looking at that site for a while. And she goes, that bad? And I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, really? I don't think you would want me selling my animals right now. I think it's better that I just keep them and breed them.
Yeah. Right.
And she goes, well, why would you breed them if they're not worth hardly anything? I'm like, that's actually a good point. I need to go talk to some people and figure out what's up.
I've been talking with myself and figure this out.
Yeah. And, Shane had always, he was relentless back in the day of hitting me up on Wednesday and being like, hey, is the show coming back? Are you guys done with your break?
Yeah.
And and it was, so he was one of the first that popped into my head, bro, I got to talk with Shane again. And one of our first conversations, he was like, you going to do the show again? And I'm like, I'm thinking about it, but I'm like, bro, I kind of got burnt out because I was kind of floating a lot of the stuff last time, like graphic wise. I'm like, Joel was running out, getting the interviews a lot of times. I was doing some more technical management on the back. And I'm like, I got to focus on breeding. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do all of it,
Yeah.
And he was like, well, he goes, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but if you need somebody to host, dude, I would be down and be honored to help you out and do it. And I'm like, well, dude, let me talk with Joel, see if he's like interested in doing it. And if not, then man, I would be super stoked and would love to have you as a co-host. We always got along great, always had good conversations. So that's kind of where the, boom, where we are now. Joel said he's focusing on his law degree still. He's only like a year away from graduating. So he's really close. And it's the heavy period. And so Shane jumped in. He was like, dude, I'll help out as much as possible. And Shane was always really good with the social media stuff. And I am not good at like the Instagram. And I don't know. I struggle with stuff like that. You know what I mean? I think I overthink it or something. I don't know. It becomes not fun for me and I don't like it. So, so he was like, I can help out there. Okay, great. And then he introduced me to Jay.
Jay's been great. Yeah.
Dude, Green Line Morphs, another shout out to Jay. He was in the chat earlier. And honestly, those two guys have made it possible for me to come back, run a podcast, do my breeding program, still do dog showing with the wife. So big hats off to those guys. Really, they're making the show happen big time. So,
well, it's cool. And I know I had a little bit of behind the scenes foresight. Shane was telling me about it, and he was giddy like a kid, man. He was so like equal parts excited and thankful, and it felt just he felt so good to be able to be involved. And I don't want to speak on his behalf, but the excitement was palpable, so it made me be like, what is this, what's going on here? And
that's cool.
I don't have to tell you how good of a dude Shane is. So when he and I have worked together, it's always been good, and we still do some stuff in the Patreon together, so it's cool to see how happy he is and pumped about it.
Yeah, man. He told me a little like, oh, this is kind of full circle for me. I started out the ball python thing, watching the show, figuring it out. And now I feel like I've gained a lot of experience and I'm on the show I used to watch as a host.
Yeah.
So
he said your show, cool. I think he said your show was the first like guest spot he ever did. It was like the first time he was ever like a featured, like, guest.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, he told us that we were the first to invite him on, and we super stoked about that too, because like I was saying, Shane's social media presence has always been very professional and right on point. Like, like he's really good with it. So I was seeing Shane just posting cool stuff like on Instagram. He had his YouTube channel and he was in our chat every Wednesday, chatting it up, keeping the conversation going. And Joel and I would always like to, if we had like one of the superstars like Ozzy or Justin or something like that on, well, we wanted to kind of also have like some of the newer breeders, or maybe they've been around a long time, but you haven't heard of them. We wanted to find those names too. So it wasn't just like, oh, they're out here just clout chasing, trying to get the biggest name in. It's like, no, we cared about what we were doing. We wanted to help the industry and also get good information in. Right. And
such a good point. It's such like, sometimes people will be like, why don't you get so-and-so and I'm like, what could I possibly ask them that they haven't already discussed or that we don't know? I said, if I truly had something insightful that I really wanted to know, then I would pitch hard to, pick your breeder. But otherwise, like, I want to know people that I can somewhat relate to or somewhat hope to chase, not hope to chase, but hope. Anyway, I think it's an important point that you made where you can't just it's not every show is, first off, not every show is going to be the home run hitter, but also the home runs come in surprises where the audience feels a connection to people and they're like, wait a minute, I see what this guy's saying. I get this guy, you see, you never know when they click. And that was something that I had to really embrace. Cause at first I was like, I just had my top 20. I'm like, these are who I'm going to get. And I'm like, they're like, oh, that's cute. You got a little show. That's nice. And they didn't, nobody actually said that, but that's, that's kind of
I feel you.
You know what I mean? Like
when you play it out in your head, you're like, oh, this is what they're thinking, right?
Right. Yeah. They didn't actually say that, but,
right.
So now I have it a little easier, but I was joking. Like I've been at this for 4 years. Like who's next? What am I going to do on the next Tuesday? So I feel
cheers
a whole
to you,
lot
man.
of that. No, thank you.
It's a good run. That's awesome, man. So
I have learned so much, gained so many connections and so many opportunities just from, it's a figurative door, but opening my door and having a conversation with somebody. Like the most basic things in life are still some of the most just valuable or beautiful or whatever word you want to put with them. But that is where so much has come from. I've gotten so much more than I ever would have, even if I had hit some massive banger that I got a 5-figure payday on one time. I've gotten so much more from the opportunities of people I've met here.
It's funny you stated it like that, because Joel and I, when we were first creating the whole interview thing, both him and I were like, bro, who are we in the industry? We've done nothing. At that time, I had my very first clutch was a snow. It was a VPI Xanthic to albino, right? So I made some snows, right?
Yeah.
I'm super stoked. I'm like,
I bet you were,
ever, right? But really, that was it, and Joel had produced I think at that time he was producing some really cool highways, I think, or something. I don't remember, but we both felt like we didn't have the authority to be a voice in the community. Like, who were we? And then we started thinking about it a little more of well, wait a second. Right now, the only shows that are out there are from long-term breeders. We could have a show that's more from the new guy's perspective, asking the questions that a lot of us have to some of these breeders, and quite a few of our sales pitches were just to some of the larger names was hey, I know you may not really know us very well or know us at all, but how many times have you been asked this type of question? They're like, oh, 1 million. Well, would you like to come on our show? Say it one time, and then you could point everybody, go listen to this YouTube. I talk all about it there. And they're like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Nice. I'm like, perfect.
Bringing the practical solutions. I like it, man. That's cool.
Yeah. Cause there were a few that were kind of well, is it really going to be worth my time? And cause we only had a couple hundred subscribers maybe at that time. And YouTube was you had the Brian Barcheks, but other than that, there wasn't a ton of reptile content, and long form podcast type stuff was very new, got almost no plays in the algorithm, stuff like that. So anyhow, that's how Joel and I's kind of concept, and we've held that all the way. And when Shane and I started it up again, that was one of the things that I told him is I wanted to hold true to that still, right? Where we're not just going and interviewing big names. We're also going to interview, if we're going to interview a big name, I want a purpose. Like you were saying, I want a specific topic because everybody's heard Justin's origin story.
Yeah, nobody needs to hear about his uncle again. Yeah, I mean, maybe they do. I'm not saying no knock on him or his uncle, but we all know the story, right?
Yeah, you could pick 10 different podcasts and go hear it, right? For sure. So, you know, and Shane was like, I agree. So that's kind of like our little, you know, mission statement is that we are taking the perspective of, yeah, hey, we're a little more experienced now, but we're coming from it from like a new lens kind of perspective. Going to be asking the questions that hopefully newer people want to hear, you know, and answer some of those difficult questions too that just, you know, maybe ChatGPT is not spitting out right away, or maybe you can't trust it. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want to hear it. So
I think you used a really great term, mission statement. I think for anybody considering or that has an itch to convey media this way or on a platform of a podcast, or even your own YouTube channel, if you can have a mission statement, that'll guide you as to what you could do, and it'll make you more reliable to your audience and your customers, or your audience that is your customer. My sort of version, I went through a little of the same stuff, but when I looked around at the time, you know, for some reason there was like this phase of time where like these dudes would just get drunk and high, and then like when they hit a certain viewer count, they would feed their snake, and that was called the podcast. Yeah. And like, there was like a lot of them. And I was like, this is a bad image. And then, you know, Chris and MJ were doing their thing, and that was a totally different product and still is a totally different product. And I was like, what about like, not necessarily like total education and knowledge. Like, I don't want to be the PBS of the reptile world, but I was like, I just want to get out and learn. And then, like you were saying, I hadn't done anything. So my pitch was like, well, here's what I have done and what's worked, and here's what I've done that hasn't worked, and here's what I like to dream about. What do you think of that, and how do I get there? And that's evolved over time, but that gave me a real, you know, kind of like you were talking about, kind of guide rails on, all right, well, what am I going to set out for, and how am I going to tell people who I am? Well, that's who I am, and that's what I'm going to be. So, and that even tied into my kind of, which we're in overtime now, but kind of my 90-minute commitment. Like, I'm not going to be the 3-hour dude just dragging it on. Like, let's get to it. We'll get done. And if we need more, we'll do it again in another Tuesday, because those Tuesdays are always there, you know?
I've done 1 4.5 hour, I think it was, or 5 hour. I don't even remember now. We interviewed me, Joel, and John Feely. I don't know. If
I know John.
That. Yeah. Okay. So John Feely interviewed Sean Bradley on our channel, and it went like, I think like maybe 6 hours. I can't even remember, bro. It was so long. I had to take bathroom breaks in the middle.
Like I'm just like, I could be like some like concerts these days. Like, I love music. I'm incessantly in love with music. I don't need a 5-hour concert though. Like I can't sit. What am I going to sit still? Like, that's not going to work. I can't do that, man. So anyhow, Jen and Dale, thanks for the kind words. It's one of those things that seems so simple in retrospect, but it's been a real hit not having ads. And for anybody wondering, the funny part is my overall engagement has grown, which means that YouTube is now pushing my videos more than they were when I had the ads, which seems counterproductive to their mission. It's kind of a interesting, weird playing out of it. So anyhow, something to consider for people if you're making a lot of money from YouTube, God bless you. I never figured out how to make a lot of money from YouTube, so I just shut it off, or not through YouTube. Anyhow, I've made some money otherwise, but not from the paycheck from Google AdSense, so to speak. So, Adam, where can people find you, man, out there and about on the internet or shows, or how do people give you money? Let's just cut right to the chase. What's a good way to do that?
Yeah, dude, I got a Cash App. No, I'm joking.
OnlyFans.
Yeah. Only. Whoa, I don't know. Nobody wants to see that, but Instagram definitely is kind of my main source of social media engagement. Definitely bigger presence on there. I am on Facebook under Beach Bum Exotics, no E in the exotics. On Morph Market as well. I have a store, have some animals up there, primarily some desert ghost breeder packages. I think I have a clown breeder female, some odds and ends that I'm kind of still, working on clearing out from the collection.
Yep.
as I focus a little more. Yeah, man. So that's basically, I'm on Husbandry Pro now as well.
Oh, nice. There you go. And Reptiles Unplugged. When, where, how do people see it?
Reptiles Unplugged every Wednesday now at 8 p.m. Eastern as well, 5 p.m. Pacific time. And YouTube channel is just Reptiles Unplugged. And that's Shane from Small Town Xotics and I's podcast. So thanks, bro.
Very cool. Well, thank you for being here. I'm glad that we made it happen and we got to hang out face to face versus just texts here and there and that kind of thing. So I appreciate it. Best to your leg, best to Heather while she's cleaning and caring for the snakes. And I hope you come back and do it again one day, man.
Thanks, man. I hope you have me back on. This was a lot of fun.
Be glad to. Audience, thanks for hanging out. It's good to see some old friends. Dale, you're always a special guy. Thanks for everything, all the support, man. And I hope to see you all in Des Moines. Jen, I don't know if you'll make it over to that side of the state, but I hope to see you if you do get a chance to. Everybody else, I'll be in Des Moines at the Cold Blooded Expos this weekend on Sunday. And then next week is William Philippik from TJW. Is it Reptiles, Exotics? We got too many words at the end.
Yeah, TJW.
Yeah, just let it rip. That's where we're at there. William will be on next week. Everybody, thanks so much. Adam, appreciate it. I'll see you guys soon.